be looking at that bend, just seeing if we can keep that bend even though we don't have contact to the lead rope. So here, if I drive her hips out, that's what requires that bend, like there. If I change the tails, both whips are now mimicking each other. So that's communicating the same signal. So it's not one or the other, it's both communicating to go forward and around. There's that bend that I'm talking about. I'll drive her out a larger circle to then change her direction. We'll come back around, ask her for the stop. That's what we're trying to promote with our horsemanship, is a willing horse. It comes through understanding the horse, how to apply pressure and when to release pressure so that we can create these responses from our horse. And I call them responses because it's really important to me. I don't want my horse to be reactive. Like I might get a horse stopping, I might get a horse turning, doing all the things that I've just demonstrated, but what I would refer to as being reactive. And what reactive means is he's not relaxed. So if my horse is responsive, he's doing everything the same, but staying responsive, in my mind, that means the horse is relaxed. And that's what hopefully Tiger Lily is demonstrating for you guys watching. So if we send her around, we've done some of this stuff now, let's have a look at the canter. Ask her to canter. I had to use a little bit of choke that time. Good. Good. Now we'll see if we can stop her there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get to some of the fun stuff. I'm going to lower that whip and allow her to face me, and then we're going to ask her to rear up here. And I could only do that if I had that stop. So when it comes to the lay down, I've used my stop cue. I can be quite subtle about how I ask my horse to lay down by staying at a little bit of distance, but we might want to talk a little bit more about how we teach that. She was super relaxed about getting into that maneuver. We want to keep it as natural as possible. So when we teach it without restraint. You know, it's not like the Horse Whisperer movie where they chase the horse around with the leg tied up, and when he gets tired enough, they lean on the saddle and the horse lays down. We want to teach the horse like he was laying down naturally in the paddock. How do you do that? Good question. We're going to teach the horse first to get in the same natural position, lowering his head, tucking his hind feet underneath him, and then relaxing at the knees and bending down. So if we sort of, like I said, got a product that we've already prepared earlier. Good girl. I'm going to just change to a shorter whip. I'm going to go right back to the start and show you how we put that all together. So if I was teaching it and pretending that Tiger Lily hadn't ever laid down before, on command that is, the first thing I want to teach is for the horse to lower its head. So if I can ask her here just to lower her head, that's the same position that her head would be in when she comes to lay down. The Tiger Lily understands the process. So what you would have also noticed is her hind feet already started to gather up. She's like, I'm preparing to lay down. But if this was her first time, her hind feet would have just stayed there. I would have just put pressure on the halter and tapped under the belly until she lowered her head. The important thing to understand here is if we take away that pressure of the aid, that she maintains that position. So anytime she goes to get out of that position, I re-ask her. That's important. I don't want to be holding her down here, and as soon as I take the pressure away, her head flies up and her body straightens. If she does that, it's going to be really hard to convince her then to lay down, because she thinks to release the pressure is for thinking stand up rather than lay down. So I want her to know that if I take all the pressure away from the lead rope, from the whip pressure, she stays in position. Once we've achieved that, and I'm getting to the end of our presentation here, so I have to move pretty quickly. Once I get to the end of that, I want to start with step 2. And what I do to get those hind feet underneath her is I deliberately camp her out. So if you don't know what camped out means, you stretch those back legs out. So she's sort of like out like this. So she's uncomfortable. That means when I go to ask her to get into that position of moving their hind feet, it makes more sense for them to come forward like so. Okay, and again, when I take the pressure away, they stay there. Once I've achieved that, I can then look at the third and final step before we put it all together into the lay down, which is I just want to be able to put pressure on the knee and get the knee to flex. But not just one, I need both these knees to be able to give. So there, they give. Head stayed down, hind feet were under. And then that creates the lay down.